The letter trembled in Daniel's hands, its edges creased from his tightening grip, as if holding it tighter could erase the words that shattered his world. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I never meant for you to find out like this." It began in Elena's looping handwriting, each stroke a dagger to his chest. The kitchen, once warm with the scent of her lavender tea, now felt like a tomb, the silence screaming her betrayal louder than any confession could. Daniel had loved Elena for 17 years. They'd built a life in this modest suburban house. 2 stories, creaky stairs, a backyard where their daughter, Lily, chased fireflies on summer nights. He'd never questioned her late nights at the office, her hushed phone calls, or the way her smile faltered when he asked about her day. Trust, he thought, was the foundation of their marriage. Now, that foundation lay in ruins, exposed by a letter she'd left on the counter, not even hidden, as if she wanted him to know. The letter wasn't just a confession. It was a map to her deceit. Elena had been working with her brother, Marcus, a slick real estate developer with a grin that never reached his eyes. Together, they'd orchestrated a plan to sell the house out from under Daniel, claiming it was for their future. The deal was done. Papers signed, buyers lined up. But the letter revealed more. An affair with Marcus's business partner, Richard, a man Daniel had welcomed into their home for barbecues and game nights. The betrayal wasn't just financial. It was personal, a wound that bled trust and love in equal measure. Daniel sank into a chair, the wood groaning under his weight. His mind replayed every moment he'd missed. The way Elena's laughter sparkled for Richard, how she'd brush off Daniel's concerns with a kiss and a "you're overthinking" love. He'd been blind, not because he couldn't see, but because he chose not to. The truth had been there, in her distracted glances, her hurried excuses, but he'd buried it under faith in her. He didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, a cold resolve settled in his chest, heavy as the mortgage papers stacked in the drawer. Elena thought she'd won, that she and Marcus could take the house, their memories, their life, and leave him with nothing. But Daniel wasn't nothing. He was a lawyer, meticulous and patient, and he'd always read the fine print. The next morning, Daniel sat in his office, the letter tucked in his briefcase like a grenade. He called his old friend, Sarah, a real estate attorney with a knack for spotting loopholes. "I need you to look at something," he said, his voice steady despite the storm inside. Sarah arrived within the hour, her sharp eyes scanning the sale contract Elena had signed. Daniel watched her, his heart pounding, hoping for a lifeline. "There's a clause," Sarah said finally, tapping a paragraph buried in legal jargon. "It's subtle, but it's there. The sale requires unanimous consent from all property owners. You didn't sign this, did you?" Daniel shook his head, a flicker of hope igniting. "No. Elena said it was just preliminary paperwork. I trusted her." Sarah's face softened, but her voice stayed firm. "This clause could void the sale. If you act fast, you can stop it." "But Daniel, are you sure you want to fight this? It's your home, but it's also her betrayal. Can you live there knowing?" He didn't answer right away. The house was more than bricks and mortar. It was Lily's crayon drawings on the walls, the dent in the doorframe from Daniel's clumsy attempt at renovations, the garden where Elena planted roses she no longer tended. Could he let it go? Could he let her go? That night, Elena came home, her face a mask of practiced calm. "You found the letter," she said, not a question. She stood by the sink, arms crossed, her eyes avoiding his. "Why?" Daniel's voice cracked, betraying the calm he'd rehearsed. "Why the house? Why Richard? Why us?" Elena's lips trembled, but her words were steady. "I didn't plan this, Daniel. It just happened. Richard listens to me. He sees me. You're always so busy, so focused on work, on Lily. I felt invisible." Invisible. The word hit like a slap. "I gave you everything, Elena. My trust, my heart, this home. And you sold it all for what? A fling? A payout?" "It's not just a fling," she snapped, then softened, her voice breaking. "I love him. And Marcus needed the money for his business. I thought we could start over, somewhere new." Daniel laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the quiet kitchen. "Start over? You didn't even ask me. You didn't give me a chance." The argument spiraled, words cutting deeper than either intended. Lily upstairs must have heard, but Daniel couldn't stop. The pain poured out. Years of unspoken doubts. Of loving her more than she ever seemed to love him back. When Elena finally left, slamming the door behind her, the house felt emptier than ever. But Daniel wasn't done. He spent the next week working with Sarah, leveraging the clause to halt the sale. The buyers, furious, backed out, leaving Marcus scrambling to cover his losses. Richard, it turned out, had been skimming funds from Marcus's business, a fact Daniel uncovered with a few well-placed calls. When the truth came out, Marcus turned on Richard, and Elena's carefully built world began to crumble. The courtroom was small, sterile, but to Daniel, it was a battlefield. He stood before the judge, his voice steady as he presented the clause, the contract, the betrayal. Elena sat across the room, her face pale, Richard nowhere in sight. Marcus, red-faced, muttered excuses to his lawyer. The judge ruled in Daniel's favor. The sale was voided, the house was his. But victory felt hollow. Daniel returned to the house alone. Lily at her grandmother's for the weekend. He walked through the rooms, each one haunted by memories. The couch where they'd watched old movies, the bedroom where they'd whispered dreams, the kitchen where he'd found the letter. He could keep the house, but could he keep the life it held? In the end, Daniel made a choice. He met Elena one last time on the front porch, the roses wilting in the autumn chill. "I'm keeping the house," he said, his voice low but firm. "Not because I want to hurt you, but because it's Lily's home. Our home. You broke us, Elena, but you don't get to take this too." Tears streamed down her face, but she nodded. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I never wanted this." He didn't respond. He didn't need to. The clause had saved the house, but it had also ruined her plans, her affair, her alliance with Marcus. She'd lost more than a property. She'd lost the trust of the man who'd loved her most. As Elena walked away, Daniel stood in the doorway, the weight of the house settling around him. It wasn't a triumph, not really. It was survival. He'd rebuild, for Lily, for himself. The house would stand, and so would he. Even if his heart bore scars no clause could erase.